Wasn't going so well at Manchester United in one spell, and I had put on, I was on classical jazz or something. It was something where I could no way I was going to hear any football talk. And yes, somebody came on that and talked about the Manchester United job as well. It was unbelievable, you know. It was one of those. I thought, my goodness, you just can't get away from it. Yeah.
Do you join in when the crowd sing the Danny Dyer song? To Jared Bowen.
Do you know something? Is camera caught me singing it in Prague.
Oh no!
And I had to walk away in the last few lines. I had to turn my back and walk away. But by the way, I was definitely singing it after scoring that goal. I was chanting it, in fact.
David, welcome to Football, Music and Me. I have interviewed you, I can't remember how many times over the last 20, 25 years. Over 1,000 games as a manager. Preston, the glory years at Everton, Manchester United, Real Sociedad, I came out to see you out there. Sunderland, West Ham, twice. 500 games as a player yourself, winning a championship with Celtic. I've spoken to you about players, injuries, referees once or twice. I've spoken to you about everything. I've never spoken to you about music. So are you right in your comfort zone here?
I am completely out of it, and I have to say I have never spoken to MD about music. And maybe after people hear me, they'll probably say I understand exactly why.
But I know you like music because you've always been a great supporter of ours at Legends of Football. You always come along to Nordhoff and Robbins, and as you know, part of this podcast will be donating to Nordhoff and Robbins as well. So would you say that music has always been a part of your life?
Very much so, but just before I start, let me say, I think as you get older, you enjoy every type of music. And I think that...
What, you think your taste broaden?
Yes, I certainly do. And I think that you're much more open to different sounds. But I have to say, I think as you get older, sometimes it's a little bit of the music you know, which is more, keeps with you. But see, while you're working in a young man's industry like I am, and I'm hearing some of that music every week in the dressing room, it soon makes you go, hey, by the way, the stuff I was listening to is really good compared to this. But yeah, music's something which I think, I've always loved music, but I'm not someone who shouts about it, but I enjoy listening to it, that's for sure.
Does it feel like there are certain tracks or certain times, eras, were, if you like, soundtracks to your football life as well?
Yeah, I think there was different periods where, I left Celtic and when I moved to Cambridge United, which was my first club in England, which sounds a sort of strange move now, but I think it was the Commodores were out a lot, and a lot of that music was round at the time. Just slightly after that, there was Huey Lewis in the News.
Yep.
Who I really liked Huey Lewis in the News. I had a period. It was more after I left Cambridge United, I went to Bristol City. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead of you, Geoff, here, but I went to Bristol City, and again, it was another great time as a player. I had a great time in Bristol with the players we had, Rob Newman, Keith Currell, and many more of around that period. But that was a bit of Huey Lewis, Hue and Cry. Yeah. Hue and Cry were around about that time as well.
That's a distinct period then, because I imagine those days you're playing football on a Saturday, you're out on Saturday night, you've got shoulder pads out here on the way.
Yeah. That was it.
Boss ties, Huey Lewis in the News, bit of Tears for Fears.
All that was going on. And you talk about periods, and look, I've been in football a long time, there's so many things, and a lot of it passes you by. But there was always a thing, there was always, for a lot of the time, it was me and Keith Currell were the two central defenders, and me and Rob Newman, if you remember, and I hope you can give me the song, is Don't Blame It on the Sunshine, Don't Blame It on the Boogie.
Blame It on the Boogie, yeah.
Yeah. We had the song, and if I had it went a little bit like, don't blame it on the forwards, don't blame it on the midfield, don't blame it on the goalie, blame it on the defence. And me and Keith Currell, we'd be singing that in the bath after the game because we were always getting blamed for the goals, me and Keith Currell. And by the way, Terry Cooper was the manager who had no doubt that he was right, but as long as when we lost we couldn't do it, but we were always saying we were getting the blame, so we would be in singing that song.
Don't blame it on the I like that. I like that. That's good.
So that was a wee bit of don't blame it on the boogie at that time, was around that period as well.
I mean, you celebrate the good times with good music, and not even got on to Everton or Prague a couple of summers ago, or last summer. But then there's the bad times as well, and probably the two down your career is relegation with Sunderland and it not working out at Manchester United. Mm-hmm. In both of those jobs, would you have, if you were driving home from the training ground or whatever, would you have put music on to try and lift yourself?
Absolutely, all the time. Because I wasn't going to listen to any sports talking programmes. And that was, I think when you're in the situation, you were always trying to find a way of not putting yourself in a bigger stress situation or a thing where you could hear people talking about you. Or actually, we're in a world now of mental health, and it still seems okay to phone a radio station and talk about somebody losing their job. So that's another thing. But so at that time, I made sure that I tried to avoid it, and I still do today. I still think it's the best way if things aren't going well. And I listened to an awful lot of music, but it was amazing. I had it wasn't going so well at Manchester United in one spell, and I had put on, I was on classical jazz or something. It was something where I could no way I was going to hear any football talk. And yes, somebody came on that and talked about the Manchester United job as well. It was unbelievable. It was one of those. I thought, oh my goodness, you just can't get away from it. Yeah, but hey, that's the industry we're in. Where we're there, and that's part of the job.
How did you find, as a manager, as your career progressed, players? I suspect it probably wasn't so much of you as a player. I might be wrong, but players bringing music into the dressing room.
I think in the main, most managers probably years gone by used to sort of say, get that music off, we're getting on with it. But in the main, I think we all knew it was a way of the players finding a bit of relaxation in maybe the 40 minutes or so before kick-off.
Let's go back to the dressing room
after
the game and your moment that just went viral. I've never seen...
a grown man do what he done. Is that what you're going to say?
But you just look so happy. And you said to me, about today, you said, I'm not sure about this. I'm out of my comfort zone.
I'm definitely out of my comfort zone.
You knew you're on camera. You got a beer in your hand. You're dancing to the legendary Proclaimers, and you looked as happy as Larry.
Well, as you well know, if you go to Hampden, watch Scotland, the Proclaimers are all round it, and it was easy. And actually, on the trip to Portugal, I was talking about is one of the staff sang I'll Walk 500 Miles. So getting it back on the music in the dressing room after was great, and it's a song that we can all sing along to.
What's your first thought as soon as you heard it?
Oh, I was giving it all day, and I was partly because it was a Scottish song, and hey, we're all proud of our own place.
For the non-Scots, could you translate giving it a laldy? I worked with Andy Gray for years, so I know.
Yeah. Well, no, giving it plenty might be something like it. Yeah.
What did you make of the reaction to the clip that went viral? Because it's the singing, it's the dancing, it's the whole thing.
I mean,
and there's memes about it.
Yeah, I get so many things sent to me. People know taking the PISS out of it, but by the way, I'd love to get an opportunity to do it again. I've got no shame at all, and I don't really care what my dancing looks like. I'm going to enjoy it, and because I enjoy the music, and the time itself was just a brilliant moment.
You say you can't sing. Do you join in when the crowd sing the Danny Dyer song? Just Jared Bowen.
Do you know something? Is camera caught me singing it in Prague.
Oh no!
And I had to walk away in the last few lines. I had to turn my back and walk away. But by the way, I was definitely singing it after scoring that goal. I was chanting it. In fact.
It's funny, and I mean, when you look back, it just, when you add music to things. So yeah, it's great to see. Say, I remember when I came up and did a piece with you on Merseyside. It was your 10-year anniversary and being in charge of Everton, and we put together a montage of all the highlights. And when you add music to it, it just lifts it.
Well, I'm glad you've done that, because you've just reminded me of someone who's really important to me, and probably a story. Bill Kenwright, who sadly passed away, and he done remarkable things for the club and for me and all sorts. He was a great guy, and he introduced me to another life as well. Theatre. He took me to shows and introduced me to a lot of actors. Were again way out my comfort zone, really, with meeting so many of them and who they were. But we got to the final, the FA Cup final, and we lost to Chelsea in the final. It was 2-1, and he had a montage, which was "He's My Brother."
Yep.
Boy, oh boy, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. And actually, I've got to say, I've used it a little bit in. We had a montage before we went to Prague, and we used the same stuff as well.
Same music
for the players, and used it there and helped us before the game as well. And we had all the wives and the kids on as well. But just bits of clips and the moments, where we had done so well.
Right. The hardest, the most difficult question. If you could only pick one song or album, what would it be?
One song or album, I think I would be probably picking probably, because it was of my youth, it would either be Donna Summer or probably Billy Joel.
Back to those two albums in your bedroom with your record player.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyed talking to you. Thanks for coming in. See, it wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be, did you?
I am right out my comfort zone here, I've got to say.
Brilliant.